Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Chantel and today I'm going to be catching you up on what I've been doing and not doing the past couple of months, because I definitely disappeared there for a couple of months, and I would say that I owe you an explanation for that. It's mostly a combination of factors that made it so that I was just not reading very much at all in April or May. I was traveling some for work in April. Work was just kind of busy and stressful. I was tired. I was kind of hyperfixating on other things. So I ended up I only ended up finishing one book in the month of April, which is a new low for me. As an adult. Yeah, that happened. And then in the second week of May or so, I got really sick. You can maybe kind of still hear it in my voice because I got a really bad sinus infection for like 2 whole weeks. It knocked me out. And I couldn't talk. I couldn't think. I was total bad brain fog for a couple of weeks at least. And it's still kind of lingering. It's only been in the past week or so that I've finally gotten to a point where I feel comfortable actually talking in front of a camera again for an extended period of time without feeling like I need to cough or clear my throat every couple of minutes. Though I may still have to edit this video to cut out some coughs or throat clearings, because I definitely still have some crud that is lingering yet from the illness that I had back in May. It was quite a time. I had to take quite a bit of time off work because I was so sick. It was nasty. So I'm very glad to be out of it and feeling somewhat human again and ready to make another video. Ironically, I did finish a few other books in the month of May. So I do want to talk about the books that I did read in April and May, of which are 4 total. And I'm going to talk about some of the things that I'm reading right now. As I'm picking back up my reading, I'm starting to, again, as I feel better, as the brain fog is kind of lifted, I'm settling into the summer reading of it all. I'm picking up the pace again, hopefully a little bit more. So I'll be talking about what I'm currently reading, a couple of things that I have on deck, a few books that I have picked up because I did buy a couple of books over the past 8 weeks or so that I would like to talk about. And yeah, so that's what I'm gonna do in this video. So let's just get right into it. First of all, the books that I finished in the past couple of months. So in April, I only managed to finish this one, which is City of Dragons by Robin Hobb, which is actually kind of funny because it's like possibly the shortest book in the entire Realm of the Elderling series, and it took me like basically an entire month to read it because I was just so busy with other things and whatever. Again, this is not a slight against any of the books that I did or did not finish. It was entirely a me thing and not a problem with the books themselves. So yeah, I did finish City of Dragons in April, and then in May I did, by the end of May, I did finally finish Blood of Dragons. So that means I've now officially finished the Rainwild Chronicles, which is great. I'm not going to talk too much about these 2 books individually because I am planning a video where I talk about the entire, this 4-book series of the Rainwild Chronicles, and I'll be going into a little bit more depth about what I liked and didn't like in this series. I mean, needless to say, it was still quite good. I would say this is probably my least favorite sub-series of the Realm of the Elderlings, and probably will remain my least favorite because I can't imagine I won't absolutely love the Fitz and the Fool trilogy, which is the final sub-series in the Realm of the Elderlings that I have yet to read. But yeah, I would say this is probably my least favorite of the sub-series so far. I think It's nothing to do with Robin Hobb's writing or character work, which of course are fantastic. I honestly do think, again, I'll get into a lot more detail with this in my video dedicated to this series, but I do think that, like, because of the slightly smaller page count and the increase in the number of significant characters in this series, it's like the cast just ballooned while the page count kind of shrank. It didn't feel like it was giving enough time for everybody, and some of the character arcs didn't feel like they were quite as fleshed out as I wanted them to be. Some of the character arcs I felt like ended kind of abruptly, or just weren't quite as fleshed out as I wanted them to be, due, again, largely, I think, to the fact that this is a shorter series of books compared to some of the others, even compared to the Live Ship Traders trilogy. So, yeah, that was honestly my biggest issue with this. But again, the quality of the writing, the character work, the world building, it's all still there. It's all still amazing. And I absolutely cannot wait to get to the Fitz and the Fool trilogy, which I will be doing by the end of the year. I plan to have this series finished. So that's those two books. And then I did finish reading Season of Storms by Andrzej Sapkowski. This is a prequel novel in the Witcher series. Yeah, it's good. I don't know that I really have a whole lot to say about this novel. It's good. It's a prequel. It's got Geralt and Dandelion being Geralt and Dandelion, and Yennefer being Yennefer. The basic premise of this is that Geralt loses his Witcher sword and he has to get it back, and he gets into all kinds of trouble trying to get it back. And it's very sort of fun and interesting, and definitely, you know, again, it's one of those books where it's like, if you like Geralt, if you like the Witcher books, if you like the Witcher series, you will probably enjoy this, because it's, you know, putting us back with these characters and in this world, and that's great. And it's a good time, and Sapkowski's a great writer, and you know, it's a good time, and I really enjoy the Witcher books. So yeah, that's really all I have to say about this one. We're nearly done with it, but yeah, because we've started. I'll get to that in a bit, but we have started the most recent book. But yeah, so that's Season of Storms. And then I also did finally, by the end of May, I finished The Plantagenets by Dan Jones. And again, it didn't take me a super long time, because I was having trouble with the book itself or anything like that. It was just purely a me thing. I did enjoy this book. I thought it was really fun. I think it's really readable. It's really accessible. I will say, like, this time period of English history, I already know a fair bit about. So there wasn't really like anything particularly new or surprising here for me. Because I've been fascinated by the Plantagenets for quite a while, and I know most of the highlights pretty well. In fact, last year I just read an entire book just about Richard II, which is the end part of this book. The very ending of this book is Richard II and his deposition, his eventual deposition and death, and being replaced by Henry of Bolingbroke, or Henry IV. So, like, on that level, like, you know, but as a narrative history, I think it's very accessible, it's very well written, it's very well paced, it's easy to get into. So, like, if you're somebody who maybe doesn't know as much about the Plantagenets and you would like to know more, this is probably a very good place to start, right? Again, I know a fair amount about the topic already, so, you know, this might not have been as, you know, it didn't really give me much new or interesting, but it was a fun and engaging way to tell the story of this dynasty, is what I will say. So yeah, there's The Plantagenets by Dan Jones. So those are the 4 books that I read in April and May. Now let's talk about the books that I have currently ongoing. My library's summer reading challenge began. It begins usually like the week that school ends, and it goes through the end of July. So a couple of months is about how much it runs, like the last week or so of May, and then June and July. So I had to go to the library and grab some library books. So I did, because I had to get my sort of registration paperwork and stuff for the summer reading challenge. So I grabbed a couple of books while I was there that just were there, because sometimes I like to do that. So I picked up The Trader Baru Cormorant by Seth Dickinson. This has been on my TBR for quite a long time. I've heard some good things about it. I'm actually quite close to being done with it at this point. I've been reading it for about a week. I'm enjoying it a lot. I'll talk more in depth about it the next time I do a wrap up, but yeah, I'm liking it a lot. It's quite good. It's quite engaging. The writing is fantastic. The character work is excellent. I'm having a very good time with it, and I will definitely be continuing this series. And then the other book I picked up randomly, it was on the new arrivals shelf, is this wonderful little nonfiction called How to Build a Haunted House by Caitlin Blackwell Bain. So this is a sort of cultural history of the haunted house as an idea in Western, mostly in sort of Anglo-American culture. So I would say this isn't, I've started reading it. I'm a little ways into it. I read like the introduction and the first chapter, and I'm into the second chapter now. This is not a book about ghosts per se. I would say that Blackwell Baines is not interested in like whether ghosts actually exist or not. She is an art historian, and so her interest lies primarily in sort of the architectural history of the haunted house, as well as the sort of cultural conception of it and the development of that cultural conception over time. And she's studying this through case studies, basically. So she's looking at individual quote-unquote haunted houses and examining them in more detail as a way to sort of explicate the broader history of the haunted house concept. So she's got a chapter on Chillingham Castle, she's got a chapter on the Myrtles Plantation, she's got a chapter on the Borley Rectory, and she even has a chapter on the Amityville horror, as a way to sort of look at the haunted house in media, right? And a haunted house as portrayed in Hollywood. So that is what this is. So I would say it's not a book about ghost stories, which is fine, because, you know, like all of the houses that she is focusing on in this book, that she has chapters on in this book, are houses that I know, you know, like I know what Raynham Hall is. I know about Hampton Court. I know about the Winchester Mystery House. I know all the ghost stories around these houses, but I am particularly interested in, again, it's like about the cultural conception of the haunted house and the way that it develops in Anglo-American thought and pop culture and media. So that is what this is. And so far, again, I'm only like 60 pages into it. It's pretty interesting. I like it. Got a couple of other books on the go. I have started Crossroads of Ravens by Andrei Sapkowski. It was very slow going so far because we started this. I've been reading these to my friend. We've been literally buddy reading them, in that I have been reading them to my friend. And of course, I started this and then I got sick, and it was like 3 weeks or more before I was able to start reading aloud again. So it's been a little bit slow going, but I mean, yeah, this is the latest Witcher book that was published late last year, and this is a very much a prequel. This is baby Geralt. Like, this is like 20-year-old Geralt, which is crazy. This is Geralt before he met Yennefer, before he met Dandelion. This is Geralt fresh out of, like, he's fresh out of Witcher school and just setting out on the path. And so it's very interesting so far. But yeah, I mean, you know, good times. Again, this is one of those things where it's like, if you like the Witcher books, this is very exciting that there's another Witcher book to read, you know? And then we'll be finished with the series once we're done with this, and we'll probably, at that point, fire up The Witcher 3 and start playing it, which is exciting because CD Projekt Red did finally officially announce that they are doing a new DLC for The Witcher 3, which is coming out next year, which is, wow, that's so cool. I'm super excited. I did finally cave and buy myself a new gaming rig because my old computer was on the fritz and starting to crash a lot and giving me lots of problems, and so I was like, I might as well just get a new one, upgrade, do a really serious upgrade so that I can really just play this stuff and not have to worry about anything. And so I'm very excited to play the new DLC when it comes out next year, and I'll probably be starting a replay of The Witcher 3 once we're done with this. So there's that. And then I do have a 4th book on the go right now, actually, because I got back to Booktube just in time to find out that we're doing a June Eyre readathon. So we're reading or rereading Jane Eyre, which Hannah's Books is leading along with Steve Donahue, which is great. Love it. Very exciting. Haven't read Jane Eyre in several years, so I figured, why not? Might as well. So yeah, I've started. I'm on I've read the first 5 chapters so far. So it's nice. The chapters are relatively short. I've looked at them. I know I can read, you know, if I can just read like a couple of chapters a day, if that, I don't even necessarily need to read a couple of chapters a day, 1 to 2 chapters a day, and I should be able to finish this by the end of the month. And yeah, I love Jane Eyre. If you don't know that about me, now you do. Jane Eyre is one of my favorite books of all time, and it has been since I was 13 when I first read it. Actually, my original copy of Jane Eyre is this. This is the one that I have had since I was 13. I first picked it up at a Scholastic book fair at my school. Just pulled it off the shelf and was like, ooh, that sounds good. And yeah, it was good. It was very, very good. So yeah, I'm reading this copy now. I've had this edition for a little while, but I haven't actually read this edition yet, so I'm reading it. This is the Penguin Classics Deluxe Edition. I love the art on this. The art on this is really beautiful. So yeah, yeah, we're doing Jane Eyre in June Eyre. You should join us, especially if you haven't read Jane Eyre before. Highly recommend it. So okay, that's what I've got on the go. I do also have a couple more library books that I picked up just today. I picked up the final 2, what is this? Winter Night Trilogy, right. The final 2 books in the Winter Night Trilogy by Catherine Arden. I read The Bear and the Nightingale. I listened to it on audio, actually, a while back, and then I kind of stopped listening to audiobooks because work got busy and audiobooks just kind of stopped being a thing that I could do. And so this kind of fell off my radar along with a couple of other things that I'd started listening to on audio, and I need to start picking them up again. And so I thought I need to do that. I really like Catherine Arden. I've read her standalone historical fantasy, The Worn Hands of Ghosts, which I really loved last year. And so I need to finish this trilogy. She's got a new one coming out as well that I have a hold on at the library called The Unicorn Hunters, which just came out, and I'm also really excited to read that. I really love Katherine Arden's writing. I love the way that she builds atmosphere with her prose. I love her character work. And her ability to write in a historical register is so fun. So yeah, I grabbed these. I'm gonna finish this trilogy, hopefully, like in the next, few weeks or so. So that's what I have immediately up on deck. I do also have a few things that I've picked up. I grabbed a couple of things from my local indie bookstore. I did pick up a copy of The Tainted Cup by Robert Jackson Bennett because it was there at my local indie bookstore and I would like to own it. I will buy the second one at some point as well in the near future, but it was just on the shelf and I wanted to grab it. But what I was really there for was, of course, The Tapestry of Fate by Shannon Chakraborty. This is the sequel to The Adventures of Amin al-Sarafi. So this is the second Amin al-Sarafi adventure, and I'm very excited to read this. So I'll be getting to this quite soon because I don't want to wait. I don't want to sit on this one for very long because I'm really excited about it. I love The Adventures of Amin al-Sarafi, and I love Shannon Chakraborty's writing. I'm very excited for this book. Obviously, I bought it. So yeah, that's what I picked up from my local indie bookstore. And I've also picked up a few titles that are film studies related. So I've got, as you may or may not be aware, I have a degree in film studies. I have a master's degree in film studies, and I like to dip my toe in the old film studies pool once in a while, and my alma mater, University of California Press, did a sale on some titles and I picked up a few. So these are all pretty new releases. I grabbed Boom to Bust: How Streaming Broke Hollywood Workers by Miranda Banks and Kate Fortmuller. This is very much a labor history of the more recent sort of rise of streaming media and how it has affected labor in the industry, which is something that's very near and dear to my heart, and so I'm very interested to read this. I also picked up Hollywood Remaking: How Film Remakes, Sequels, and Franchises Shape Industry and Culture by Kathleen Look. She's German, but she's a professor of American Studies and Media Studies at Leibniz University in Hanover. But yeah, this, again, I'm really interested in adaptations, in remakes, in franchises and sequels, things like that, as an industry, as a sub-industry within Hollywood. So I'm really interested to see her take on it. I feel like this is probably going to be more theory heavy, more heavily theory than it is about sort of actual nuts and bolts industry analysis, which is fine. In this house, we respect theory and praxis both, so theory is always very important to academic thinking, and I'm interested to see what she has to say about that. And then the one that I'm probably most excited for and just got because I pre-ordered it, it just came out. This is Power Surge: Conglomerate Hollywood and the Studio System's Last Hurrah by Thomas Schatz. Why am I very excited about this? Because Thomas Schatz is like the guy when it comes to Hollywood studio system. He literally wrote the book on it. This is the book that he wrote. The Genius of the System: Hollywood filmmaking in the studio era is the definitive history of the golden age of the Hollywood studio system in the 30s and 40s primarily. And like any student of filmmaking, of American filmmaking, who is interested at all in American film history, this is kind of required reading. And this is like almost kind of a follow-up to that, right? This is about conglomerate Hollywood in the late 90s and early aughts, a period of time in which the studio system almost kind of made a comeback in some ways, and he is really interested in the workings of the industry and how it operates. And he's brilliant, and I am really excited to read this book. So yeah, that's what I got. Again, I think like my next video next week will probably be a more deep dive into the Rainwild Chronicles that I just finished. Towards the end of the month, I'll probably do something like the mid-year freakout tag and some sort of like check-in with my goals that I set for myself. I can tell you already, many of my yearly goals I'm not really doing very well on, except for the Realm of the Elderlings one, which I am actually managing to keep up with. So I guess 1 out of 6 is all right. I'm being gentle with myself here. You know, it's fine. It's all fine. Reading is reading, regardless of whether you're reading 1 book a year or 500 books a year. It's fine. But yeah, that's what I got. Hopefully everybody is doing well and not being sick like I was. And that I hope you're enjoying your summer. Leave a comment below if you've read any of these books or want to read any of these books, or if your library is doing a summer reading challenge, what are you doing for it? I like to know about that stuff. Leave me a like if you like this, subscribe if you want, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.